Hi everyone, it's Adam Sherwood here for EDUC 5103 doing my Assignment 3 presentation. It's been long overdue, but I'm finally ready to go. I looked at the idea of, and it's something that kind of intrigued me throughout this semester, the idea of how can we as educators leverage social media in a positive sense in the classroom. Because as we go forward, obviously technology has taken over our society, but social media especially has rapidly kind of taken the minds and attentions of our students. And it seems like there's been a lot of backlash from parents and teachers against social media. So the question remains, well, how do we deal with it? Do we want it in the classroom, and what's the best way to move forward? In fact, just this month, the province of Ontario has announced a cell phone ban for the upcoming school year. The prevailing thought being that cell phones and social media especially is just simply too distracting for students. They cannot concentrate on their work, they're falling behind academically, and it's going to have long-term damage on them. Education Minister Lisa Thompson has said, by banning cell phone use that distracts from learning, we are helping students to focus on acquiring the foundational skills they need, like reading, writing, and math. But is this the right decision? As I've wrestled with this all semester in a few of the discussion forums, I think there are some flaws with this way of thinking. Because cell phones do carry a risk, certainly, but they carry even greater potential. When we studied Dr. Puentedura and his SAMR model, he talked about how technology can give us a chance for redefinition, where the boundaries and tasks of education can simply be redefined because of technology, because it can, quote, allow for the creation of new tasks which were previously inconceivable. And it makes me wonder, maybe even I and many of us in the field have given social media a bad name. Because students are addicted to it doesn't mean we need to just put it away. We should be asking ourselves, how can we use it effectively? So if we can agree that an outright ban is not the answer, and we are open to the idea of how education is embedding social media, there's a few things that we need to consider in a contextual sense. For one, the world of social media is ever-changing. When I was growing up, MSN Messenger and MySpace were huge. It led into a Facebook and Twitter boom, and the current realities are Snapchat and Instagram for high school students. So if an educator wants to lock in on a certain social media and design a course around it, they better be ready to adapt and evolve with the technology. Beyond this is the natural worry of student access, because not everyone has cell phones and or social media accounts. In fact, a 2015 Pew Research found that 80% of U.S. teenagers had cell phones with internet access, which is high, but it means that 1 in 5 kids would probably be excluded in our lesson. So we have to consider, if we go a social media route, are we creating some level of inequality in the classroom? Finally, there is a realistic threat of distraction. The simple ban of cell phones will prevent this, but maybe we're losing out on better ways of teaching. So Loomis argued in 2018 that the real responsibility of anyone bringing in social media and or phones as educators is to communicate clearly to the students and parents and have follow through with it, that they are meant as a tool and not a toy. To elaborate on this just a bit further, Atlas and Weeb in 2017 have talked about the need for digital integration, that society has had a paradigm shift in the last 20 years, where technology is replacing workers through automation and changing communication, collaboration, and knowledge creation. Because of this, they argue that students must be taught and equipped with 21st century skills. They also put forth the idea that, quote, students must be permitted space to use digital mediums to engage with others and to explore and contribute. In other words, they have to be included with social media in the classroom. This connecting with people outside of your rooms through technology is a necessity in this day and age. So when I finally decided that this does seem worthwhile, there is literature that supports the idea that there are effective reasons and motivations to have social media in the classroom, I sought out what are some different ways to use it and what would maybe be the best ones going. Across the board, it seems like Twitter is one that is very popular, especially in a conversational sense. So let's just run through a couple of ideas here. Loomis put forth the idea that class-specific hashtags are essential in making it manageable for teachers, that students get a sense of community and belonging with that hashtag, and from the the teacher's perspective, it's very easy to track participation, to be able to give feedback, and kind of have an archive, of the conversation. Beyond this, Twitter can be used as a question form, where students, instead of just in the hour that day in the brick and mortar school, they can be asking questions to each other at any time of the day, to their teacher, to each other. And students are encouraged to be giving responses to their peers instead of just waiting for the teacher to respond, which has Loomis found increased engagement across the board. Finally, Time have put forth the idea that the 140 character limit for Twitter is ideal for testing, promoting brevity, and the ability to be concise, which is a worldwide skill that any adult should have. You can incorporate this across curricularly to any grade, and students aren't intimidated by writing only 140 characters, but it's a great test to say a lot in a little amount of time. Beyond these small ways, the greatest benefit that I found was the idea that Twitter can be used to extend conversations. And what this meant was that traditionally we have the hour a day with the teacher and with our classmates to talk. But Twitter opens this up, that a lot of times students have aha moments after a lecture, after a reading, while they're reflecting at night, on the weekend. And if we have a space on Twitter, on social media, where the class is always debating, always discussing, always sharing ideas, this conversation doesn't end. And it doesn't punish students who are too shy in the class or who don't have a quick thought in the moment. Loomis said that, quote, time outside class gives students a chance to think about what they want to say without the pressure of the clock. Moving on, another really interesting way that I saw that social media was used was something Wheeler put forward just this year about Facebook Live. That this is a sort of a newer trend that's happening, but certain teachers are using Facebook Live to broadcast lessons to students that are out for whatever reason. And it's broadcast live, but then it's archived, and you can go back and watch it at any time. Beyond this, other than just in the classroom, schools and administrators are especially taking advantage of Facebook Live. Some schools have taken to live streaming graduation ceremonies, to sharing scholarship presentations, and to what's really popular in elementary schools, holding Q&A parent information sessions, which is especially popular amongst incoming kindergarten parents. A school in Texas started this a couple years ago, and they've been getting upwards of 25,000 streams and followers and viewers to these Facebook Live events, where instead of having everyone to come out to the school on a certain night at 6:30, they post it online. People can watch it from wherever or even delayed and get answers to their questions. Wheeler argued that the power of social media is transcending physical space, bringing communities together even when they aren't physically together. Another really unique way that I saw that social media was being used in the classroom was actually not necessarily in the classroom with students, but behind the scenes. That social media is a driving force now in teachers' professional learning networks. Carpenter, Trust, and Krutka argued that this is the most effective way right now to leverage social media, that teachers need to be on it. They need to be in Facebook groups. They need to be following certain educators on Twitter because it's customizable. You have freedom of choice, and it lets teachers find a genuine interest in the content. They have access to resources from around the globe, assessments, lesson plans, philosophies, rubrics. In other words, it'll take advantage of technology in ways that were previously unimagined, as we talked about earlier. Researchers have found that, quote, the enthusiasm for professional learning networks among our respondents was particularly noteworthy compared to traditional professional learning that is district mandated or forced upon you. So to conclude, the burden is on educators to adapt to this ever-changing world of technology and social media, whether it's including it in the classroom with students, whether it's using it to build community involvement, or whether it's used to for professional learning for teachers. We need to consider the benefits that come along with social media in our schools. It's imperative that we work to overcome any potential pitfalls and not turn our backs on it, because today's teenagers need this. Social media, when used properly, can be used to effectively increase learning in the classroom, improve our professional learning for teachers outside of it, and help build relationships between schools and the community. Thanks for listening. I look forward to any feedback you have. Thank you.